So on the following week, 3 of the Four Horsemen appeared on World Championship Wrestling in a stand-up interview. It's always some of our favorites. Let's take a look. It's April 20th, 1991. We want to hear what all you had to say. It's World Championship Wrestling, one of our favorite shows, from April 20th, 1991. In our third clip of the week, we have 4. Let's check it out.
Aldo Rivera, not Maury Povich, not Jim Ross, and certainly not Gordon Soley. Only Paulie Dangerously could land this exclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 of the Four Horsemen, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, and the heavyweight champion of the world, Nature Boy, Ric Flair. About an honor. You talk about running in the fast lane. I'm standing with Arn Anderson, who at Super Brawl, the greatest pay-per-view of all time, will defend the TV title against beautiful Bobby. Barry Windham, who's beaten each and every opponent for the last several months, and the heavyweight champion of the world, Nature Boy Ric Flair, who at Super Brawl will enter the ring against a man that thinks he has a claim to your title, Tatsumi Fujinami.
Yeah, well, he thought a lot of things. But when I got off that 747 in Tokyo, aside from driving every little woman with eyes like this out of her mind, I personally showed every athlete in Japan what the sport of professional wrestling. Woo! All about Paulie and a Super Brawl. When Fujinami walked that aisle on my side of the world, he'll really pay the price.
You know, Nature Boy, I hate all these reporters that say, what if Fujinami does this? What if? Hey, I know for a fact that you're going to get by Tatsumi Fujinami. So my question, sir, to you is this. What comes after Super Brawl?
Well, when you're one of the Four Horsemen, when you're Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, or Barry Windham, we can pretty much call our own shot. Now, why don't you get around to asking me what you're trying to say and quit mincing words?
What I'm trying to say is, Nature Boy, there are a lot of top contenders. Who's going to be next in line for a title shot after Super Brawl?
My friend, the only real great wrestlers in my mind are at my side. The world's television champion, the greatest television champion of all time. And Barry Windham, Mr. Technician himself, a top contender. What are you trying to say, little man?
No, I'm not trying to say anything. I just want to know after Super Brawl, who's going to get the title shot at the heavyweight championship of the world?
Anybody that wants to sign on the dotted line, Helen Keller. You understand that?
Yeah, I think I understand.
And whoever it may be will get beat just like that, Helen Keller. Read through it, baby.
Huh. Well, that ends that, Helen Keller. So here we go. He took the entire interview, Arn, but what he did, and that was to deliver the message that the booking called for. So think about it. The inaugural Super Brawl, which we'll discuss next week, looking forward to that, features Flair and Fujinami in the main event as a follow-up to the match that we saw last week where it appeared Fujinami took the title off of Nature Boy. But the New Japan deal had a lot of potential, but as we found out thanks to our AFS colleague Eric Bischoff, the run here damaged the relationship that Bischoff had to fix in order to bring New Japan back into the WCW fold in 1995. What did you think about working with New Japan, and in particular, because there's no internet or social media at that time, Flair working with someone in Fujinami that was largely unknown in the U.S.? I mean, like you said, we just didn't know who they were.
Yeah, it wouldn't have meant anything. I mean, your hardcore fans are the ones that got, in that point in time, got wrestling magazines. It's the only way you found out about stuff overseas. I think that promo kind of led you. The fact that Barry and I didn't say anything kind of led you to something's going on here, and maybe that was the plan to start, getting Barry ready for the next shot. It certainly looks like it on the outside, but we're Monday morning quarterbacks too.
Sure. Yeah, he's the 6'6" elephant in the room, but it's fair to say that a facial expression or gesture might have helped take this promo home. But I saw Barry try, but I would have liked to see him take it just a little further. But it's subtle and nuanced as opposed to almost, an afterthought. But what did you think about the thoughts on this now, seeing it as we're Monday morning quarterbacking it, as far as moving the story forward? Do you think it worked?
Oh, it's okay for just to be the first piece. I'll have to see how it lays out.
Okay.
I don't remember how it lays out.
Yeah, we'll follow it along here. You're back from injury. You and Barry continue, by the way, to team together. We're going to watch this as it evolves. But on an episode of the main event from April 21st, as we continue through the month, you and Barry would team up against Brian Pillman and Elegante. And in our final clip of the week, we're going to watch what happened when the Horsemen were challenged by Flying Brian and Old George. Let's take a look.
Pillman, who as we said, has won, his motivating factor is revenge on Wyndham and Anderson, on Ric Flair, on Sid Vicious. Tremendous crowd on hand. This match has drawn a great deal of interest. Of course, our editor of the Wrestling Wrap-Up, Dennis Brent, at ringside covering this event. And there's the tag. The big man, the real giant in WCW or anywhere else, steps right over the top rope. Sends Wyndham for the ride. And there's a clothesline like no other. Elegante making another quick tag to Flying Brian. Flying Brian up and over. Down goes Wyndham. And Elegante steps over the top. Wait a minute, here's Ric Flair. Flair just pushed Pillman off the top rope. Ric Flair just pushed Flying Brian off the top rope. Elegante's choking Wyndham. The Pillman's going to be counted down.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the match, the team of Arn Anderson and Barry Windham.
Flair wants his men to get out of the ring before Elegante takes them apart. Oh, what an injustice here. With the help of the world's heavyweight champion, Wyndham and Anderson have defeated Flying Brian here. There you see Elegante has stepped over the top, but keep your eye on Ric Flair. Flair shoving Pillman face first right off the top rope.
Now, listen, I know we like to have a little bit of fun talking about Elegante, but the crowd did pop hard when he got the hot tag, that's for sure. So something was working.
Well, they were clinging to the fact that at some point he's going to fire up, I guess.
Yeah.
Shame they never got it.
Yeah. I also want to talk a little bit about Pillman because, post the War Games match that we watched that nasty powerbomb, he's got a lot of momentum going on here on the Super Bowl pay-per-view, which we're going to get, we're going to talk about soon. He's going to take on Barry Windham in a tape fist match. And I want to spend a few minutes here because he's on a nice trajectory here. If you think about it, everyone loves the underdog story. Brian keeps finding himself on the losing end. Would it have hurt the Horsemen, you think, at this point to put Pillman over in some of these television matches? What are your thoughts on that?
No, of course not. Brian, he could stand in there and chop with Rick, and those little hands of his, those little bitty stubby fingers, hurt too, by the way. And he could do the high-flying stuff, so he could fight you. He could do the really pretty high-impact stuff off the top. I mean, Brian was on his way to having a hell of a career.
Would you consider that behind Sting, he was probably number 2 or 3 babyface at this point?
I'd have to look at a talent list, but he would be up in the top 5.
Yeah,
for sure.
I
For
think
sure.
you're right. Yeah. And I mean, the fans are responding to him. He's got the high flying moves. He's doing things that people haven't seen before. And I just wonder, Dusty, I'm sure he and the booking committee really loved him. I mean, you could have seen where it would have made sense to give him a mega push, maybe against a Ric Flair. But hey, they're going to turn Wyndham, and instead of really pushing Flying Brian to the moon, I guess. So that's the decision that we'll kind of see unfold here.
Well, you got to remember in the background, you got Luger and the Steiners, right?
Yeah.
You'd have to have a talent list in front of me to know, but Brian was kind of creating his own push by his performance, and that's okay because everything I've seen him do on these clips, he's done a very, very good job with it. So